You know, Paul, there are times in life when something really challenging happens and you're very devastated by it. But only later do you realize that some of the bad things that happened to you in your life led to much, much better things, great things that would have never happened if that bad thing hadn't happened. Paul, you coined this term, which I love, no accidents, only miracles. And when I think of that term, there's one person that always comes to mind that we met, a young man named Roderick Sewell. Roderick was born without tibia in his two legs, which necessitated his mother, Marion, to double amputate him at the age of 2. So at the age of 2 years old, he lost his legs at the knee and was in prosthetics for the rest of his life. But the prosthetics that they were giving him weren't really very good, and her insurance didn't cover. So she actually had to quit her job to get an insurance that would get him the prosthetics he needed. But that, unfortunately, created bad financial burden for the family. And so they ended up being homeless for a few years, like 3, 4, 5 years. So poor kid Roderick, double amputee, running around on prosthetic legs, and now is living in homeless shelters. Roderick went from that to becoming an international swimming champion in a Paralympic competition called the Pan-Pacific Games, which was like Paralympics for South America and North America. And even more impressive than that, he is the first double amputee to ever finish the Ironman race in Hawaii, the famous triathlon. And you know, when I think about Roderick and other people like that, I always go back to my life and when I have a hard moment, and I go, wow, there are so many people out there in this world who've had so many much more challenging things happen than you and I have. You know, I think of somebody like a Nelson Mandela who was in prison for many, many years and didn't let it diminish him. In fact, if anything, it gave him power. The power that he took with him when he got out of prison and led the South African people is something that's just unbelievably inspiring. So you'd like to talk about this a lot. Talk about the empowered state, a person who can take the things that have happened in their life that are negative and instead of having them crush them, quite the opposite, they get power from it.
That empowered mindset is a very opportunistic and optimistic state of being where you just know that even though you're going through a challenge or something doesn't work out quite right, that there's another opportunity. Something good is going to happen right around the corner. Something good is coming. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know where it's going to be, but it will happen. And so that's just sort of state of being. There's another state of being that's the opposite. The flip side of that is that someone did something to me, the market did something to me, and making excuses for what happened to them. Right. Instead of operating in life from a proactive perspective. Right. So we only have one thing we can control, and that's our response to any given situation. Right. How do we respond? So if we come from it from this mindset of empowerment where we believe there's good that's going to be happening for me soon, we're going to be much happier. And by the way, there is good that's going to be coming soon. Right. Vis-a-vis the opposite way, then something negative is going to continue to happen.
Yeah, there are a lot of people in this world who allow past injustices to hold them back. And it might be very genuine things that happen to them, but because they happen to them, they can't seem to let go and they hold on to those things and they carry with them like a big old ball of chain throughout their life. And they don't give themselves the space to grow and do wonderful things like Roderick did, you know, finishing the Ironman race.
Yeah, I mean, he's a perfect example of somebody that could have gone in the tank.
Right.
Right? I mean, look what was going on in his world, in his life.
Yeah.
He didn't have any lower legs. These prosthetics that he had at an early age kept breaking. Right. He was living from shelter to shelter. His mom was fearful for his life and her life, where they were living. Yeah. I mean, that could have crippled anybody.
Yeah. And he
didn't look at life as a cripple, right? No. And then when he met the guy in the bus that introduced him to the Challenge Athletes Foundation, and they got the really good prosthetics and introduced him to sports, that gave him a new lease on life.
Completely new lease on life. And when you meet this guy, he's just a bright ball of sunshine.
Yeah.
He's just like the most positive guy you ever want to meet.
So where'd that come from?
Yeah, well, he's empowered state.
Empowered state.
Right.
Empowered state.
And you know, I think adding to that, I think what also helps him and is very important in something like this is we all have things that happen to us in our lives.
Right.
Everybody has something. Some have more, some have less, but we all have something. It's what you do with it, and not only what you do with it for yourself, but how you take that pain that was given to you and help others who are going through the same pain. And again, Roderick's a great example of that. He volunteers for the Challenge Athlete Foundation and other foundations that help kids who are also double amputees or single amputees or whatever, and they're playing adaptive sports. And he becomes a mentor to these kids. And he's like the Pied Piper at the swimming pool. Right. They follow him around like everywhere he goes because they believe in him, but maybe even more importantly, he believes in them. And through that, there's just you see beautiful things happen.
Well, he's giving them hope for what he was able to work himself through, and he's now a role model for these younger kids. And so he had a choice. He had a choice on how he wanted his life to play out.
Right. Yeah. And if you think about it,
And he took the high road.
He took the high road.
You could take the low road. Yeah. He took the high road.
Right. His pain, this adversity that he was given to at a very young age, and in some ways carries his whole life because he's double amputee for life. He's been able to take that and turn it into something beautiful because he can help other people who are going through the same pain. And he wouldn't have that opportunity if those bad things hadn't happened to him.
So another way to talk about this no accidents, only miracles thing is, so you're coming at it from an empowered state. Something happens to you. Something good happens to you.
Right.
It's a miracle, right? That this happened. What are you thinking? No surprise that happened to me, because that's what happens to me. Miracles happen to me.
Right.
Okay, it's a challenge that happened to me. Oh, okay, well, this is a challenge. I will work through it. I will move through it. There'll be something better around the corner for me. I know this to be true. Right. So when you're not coming at it from an empowered state, the opposite, right. When something good happens to you, you're surprised, like, well, that's 1 in a million.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did that happen to me? I mean, how did that happen? And okay, so you have that attitude, which is not good.
Right.
If a challenge happens to you, and you're saying, no surprise, this happened to me. This is what always happens to me.
This is my life.
So that's the difference in the mindset, which makes all the difference in the world, the kind of life you're going to live.
Right. And I think that we talk a lot about gratitude too, and there's also a gratitude component where you're so busy being mired down into the negative things that happen to you in your life that you don't stop and think about the good things and the things that you should be grateful for. And when you start really thinking about things that you're grateful for in your life, it becomes a mindset shift, and suddenly you're a lot more positive.
Yeah, well, the gratitude is like amazing. Having gratitude, and when you notice the things that could be a little tiny little thing, right, that we can quote unquote call a miracle. It could be a major thing that we can call a miracle. But when you have gratitude for those little things, those big things, it's just a peaceful way to live. So focus on whatever the good is in your life, and then there'll be tiny little steps that more good will come from that. I mean, the problem, I think, in society is that people want things now.
Yeah.
They want it right now. The ego wants more and wants it now.
Right.
Give it to me now. That's the place we live in our society, but that's not where growth lives. Growth lives in learning, being patient, being resilient, having resolve, having commitment, having determination, and when you know the direction you're headed and what you want in life and what you love to do, you're gonna be moving in that direction. So that's where the growth occurs. It's not just like win the lottery, boom. How many people that won the lottery are unhappy people that have killed themselves, that are a mess?
Right. Yeah, I like to say life's a marathon, not a sprint. You just take it one day at a time and enjoy every day, because I went through a period of time that I don't have really regrets, but if I say I had a regret, right after I graduated from SC, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I went through a little bit of a funk for a few months. And I look back on that and go, man, I was 23 years old. I had the summer off. I didn't have to figure it out that day. Why did I allow myself to have 3 bad months when it should have been a pinnacle point in my life? But I just got so focused on not having it all figured out that I allowed myself to become unhappy. And, every day we get is a great day. And if we don't live it that way, then we look back and go, man, those days that I was so worried about this thing, and then you find out later, man, that thing wasn't even that important. In many cases, sometimes it is, but oftentimes, most times it's not. But we build these things up and build these things up, and it's just, let's have a great day, and then let's have another one tomorrow, and the day after that as well.
Yeah, if we fast forward to the end of our life and look back, and so many things that were maybe upsetting to us in the moment.
Right.
We'll look back and not even blink an eye, and we'll be focusing back on family, love, friendships, relationships, those kinds of things, and maybe the fun things we were able to do in life, instead of those little irritants or annoyances or speed bumps along the road or whatever that might be. So, I just think that maybe living with that perspective is a good way to be.
No doubt. And again, not to diminish when truly tragic things happen in people's lives, because they do.
Of course.
And but we also just know that whatever it was, there will be another day, and that thing that we suffered through is very likely something that we're going to be able to help maybe one, maybe many people with in the future. And so that's the miracle, is our miracle of our humanity, of being able to we're all in this together and help each other, especially, if we have gone through things that we can relate to that maybe others can't, so that when that one person has that thing that they're going through, we could be the one that steps up for them.
And live life in the moment. We don't need to have to fast forward to the end game to know. Everyone wants to know, how's this going to end up? How's this going to be? How's this going to look?
Yeah.
And it's in the pleasant surprises that we have real elation in life, right? Yeah. And it's in the disappointment that we have amazing opportunities to grow from, right? But if we knew all these things that are going to happen in our lives, it just wouldn't be the same.
No.
It wouldn't be the same.
No.
Knowing the answer, the outcome.
No.
The fun part is just living in the moment. Live in the moment. Let's be elated. Let's have some disappointment, but let's move through that and grow and become the human being we all want to be.
100%. Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
This is the part where we're supposed to tell people to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Okay, will you please do that then? I mean, if you enjoy it, please do.
And if you don't, do it anyways, because we need your help.
We do.
Also, we have a website called GameChangeNation.com. Just go there and subscribe, and you'll get tons of free content.
And what we're really trying to do is create a community of people that love sports.
Yep.
And the great lessons that we learn from sports, but we want to hear from you.
We do. So we're going to have a bunch of social media pages, from TikTok to Instagram to Twitter to Facebook. Instagram, I probably already said all of them. Please join them and tell us your stories. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, and we wrote a book.
Oh,
Forgot about that.
Forgot that.
The book is called Through the Tunnel. It's available on Amazon now. If you go straight down here to this link that you can see below us, you will be able to purchase it. We'd love it if you could do it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.